What is up, DCS family? So, we know a lot of you have been thinking that we've been a little quiet lately, but this last week has really been a no trade zone for Bitcoin. And as you guys can see, it's not just us, it's multiple analysts in the market who really didn't see the risk reward or any sort of trading opportunities play out over the last week when Bitcoin was really range bound and very confused about that 93.50 level. But now that we've got a weekly close above it, Bitcoin got some great confirmation, and we're now testing the top of our range for Bitcoin again. But before we jump into Bitcoin, let's start off by taking a macro look at total market cap. So, in macro terms, we're still below this long-term trend line that we broke below in November of last year. And we've broken below this trend line, which we were actually hugging quite tightly, as you can see. But if we zoom out, we are getting some signs of bullishness. So, of course, number one is we're trading above both the 200 and the 50-day moving averages. You can see we're on the daily time frame here. And this 50-day moving average seems to be acting as quite a strong support for market cap. In addition to this, we can see that price is really trading in this descending triangle structure here. And right now we're retesting the top of that structure. So remember, guys, this is total market cap. So we're either going to see a breakdown from here and then a retest, which really would be more stability. But what we're waiting for is a breakout from the top of the structure. And then we think it's quite inevitable that total market cap will see a retest of this 290 level. And that will coincide quite nicely with a retest of 10,400, which we're going to touch on right now. But before we get to that, let's take a quick look at the altcoin market. So this nice, beautiful uptrend line that we had, we broke below this just in the course of last week. And we can see it's now acting as a resistance. However, here as well, we're trading above the 200 and the 50 daily exponential moving averages. So it's still quite bullish. We're just at a current point where rejection seems a lot more likely. What is likely is to see altcoin market cap come down to retest this 87 level. And because we see that as really likely, we're going to be issuing a few altcoin trades in the group shortly. So without any further ado, let's get into everybody's favorite crypto. So you guys will know it's very important to form your macro view first. So the first thing we do is we jump on the weekly chart. And we can see Bitcoin is still consecutively outside of or above this parallel channel and outside or above this macro symmetrical triangle, right? The black lines, and above the top of this parallel channel, which is that purple line. And we can see that last 3 weeks or 4 weeks price action has been perfectly above that. And we can see we had a successful retest there, and we bounced off. So in terms of turning these levels into confirmed macro supports on the weekly time frames, it seems we're now there, which is very bullish for Bitcoin because it now means that our new price cycle really is trading from between about 8,500 to 13,000. And that's where we should see price oscillate in the medium term. So why have we been so quiet over the last week? And the candles really tell the story. And in fact, you guys will see it a lot clearer. I've done some marking up on the chart that you guys like a bit more. So if we jump to the daily to make it a little bit more clear, we can see that since essentially the beginning of May, the majority of price action has been between this 96.50 level, which we spoke about earlier, which we can now see is acting as a resistance. It looks like price is being rejected at that level. And from our support zone here at 8.7, which is just inside of our macro symmetrical triangle, right? So we can see the majority of May and June, we've been range bound. So Bitcoin has been consolidating in this range. And when we see a long-term consolidation like this, it usually points to a big move on the horizon. So what are the possibilities? Since we've seen so many successful retests of the top of this parallel channel and the top of the ascending triangle as a support, and in fact the top of this orange zone, which coincides with 9.3, we are expecting a pullback, but we're only expecting a pullback to here. It looks a lot more likely that Bitcoin is going to break above this 96.50 level. And once we do and successfully confirm it with a retest, another run at 10.4 seems inevitable. So from a trading perspective, what we're really looking at doing is waiting for, and it's actually quite clear here as well, you guys can see we're trading in sort of a bull flag structure. Here's the flagpole, and here's the flag between these two lines. But we also have within that structure, when we account for the wicking, a ascending triangle forming here. So we've seen some really positive price action from Bitcoin. We can see this big green candle, but it looks quite clear that we're going to get rejected from this 96.50 level because it coincides with this downtrending line, coincides with our heavy support resistance at 96.50, and that is the top of our sort of range where Bitcoin's been trading in more or less for the last 2 weeks. So jumping in along here really doesn't make any sense until price confirms that it's retaken this 96.50 level. But we do think the rejection from here is going to lead to price pulling back a bit. And that is why we're even going to be issuing a Bitcoin trade shortly. So the numerous successful retests of the parallel channel on the top of this ascending structure has led us to believe that the downside or the directional bias for Bitcoin is definitely upward. We talk about that in the group. Great, so let's take a look at altcoins quickly. We're very, very bullish on altcoins because, let's take a look at the weekly first. We always talk about our weekly Ethereum, Bitcoin as our leading indicator. And it's not too clear here, but it looks like we've clearly broken out, had a successful retest of the top of this level and broken out, right? We can see this candle here. So on the weekly, that'll actually be just a breakout. So with the weekly close of this, if we can close above this level, we think there is significant upside for Ethereum in the coming weeks, and by translation, the entire altcoin market, right? And most altcoins are not looking too attractive to us at the moment, but one opportunity we do see is Litecoin. So you guys who've been following us for a while, this 4088 level is a really, really key macro level for Litecoin. And it's been trading in this ascending triangle structure that we can see here. But because we've seen so much consolidation, we would actually like to enter on the retest here around 4370 and ride that trade just to the top of this. But the really interesting trade is going to be if we break out of the top of this ascending triangle, and we'll look to re-enter on the retest. And you can see that's a 7.6% movement unleveraged, which is about 76% at 10x leverage. So that is a trade we're looking for in the coming days and weeks, but we've got a current trade on Litecoin as well. We're waiting for the pullback into this area of support to the bottom of the ascending triangle, and then we're going to ride it to the retest at the top. So we've seen a very interesting trade there in Litecoin. And with Tezos, we can see we're dead center between where our trading range has been, again, from pretty much the beginning of May. So here there's no real risk reward. We're at the 50, at the 50 and at the 9-day moving exponential average. There's no indication of whether we're breaking above, whether it's acting support, resistance. So we need a lot more confirmation from Tezos before we do jump into a trade. And that is about it for our market update. Keep an eye on the group for those trades that we set. So just to finish off, we've seen a little drop in the fear and greed index in Bitcoin. And we can see the RSI on the hourly is already up at 75. So Bitcoin is massively overbought. A pullback is most likely. I mean, we can see the last time we hit this level, boom, we pulled back. The last time we hit the overbought level, boom, we pulled back. Last time we hit the overbought level, boom, we pulled back. So we're going to look to enter on that pullback. The fear and greed index has dropped, which is usually an indication that there's more upside in the market. And we can see a slow uptick in open interest. So that's the amount of long positions in Bitcoin. So the market is in general quite bullish. That is it for us today, guys. Keep an eye out for the trades in the group.